Today you are going to discover a real-life story full of struggle and determination. This is not just any story. It is the untold journey of Toyota. Behind the shiny cars and global recognition, there was a past filled with setbacks. By the end, you will not only see how Toyota rose from nothing, but also learn lessons for your own life. Our story begins in Japan, in the late 19th century, when the world was changing fast. In the West, industries were booming and machines were replacing manual work. But Japan was still catching up. In a small village lived Sakichi Toyota, the son of a carpenter. He was not rich or highly educated, but he had deep curiosity for machines. He believed technology could change Japan's future. Unlike many, he was not satisfied with tradition. He wanted to innovate. At first, Sakichi did not dream about cars. He focused on weaving looms, because Japanese weavers used slow wooden hand looms. Women spent long hours, yet the output was very low. Sakichi wanted to help, so he began experimenting with automatic looms. After endless trials and failures, he created the Toyota automatic loom. It could stop automatically when a thread broke, preventing waste. Production became faster and better. This invention was revolutionary, but success did not come easily. He faced financial struggles, rejection from investors, and social pressure. Many thought he was wasting his time. But Sakichi did not give up, and eventually his invention became a success. The loom helped Japanese industries and even attracted attention abroad. In 1929, Sakichi sold the patent rights to a British company. This gave his family money and, more importantly, the chance for bigger dreams. That is when cars entered the story. Sakichi's son Kichiro Toyota had a new vision. While his father focused on looms, Kichiro was fascinated by automobiles. Japan was importing cars from the West and had no strong car industry. Kichiro saw this as both a challenge and an opportunity. He wanted Japan to build its own cars, independent from foreign companies. But think about it. Creating cars from scratch seemed impossible. Japan had little technology, no experience, and limited finance. Many laughed at Kichiro, saying Japan could never match America or Germany. But he carried his father's spirit of innovation. He believed if they could make world-class looms, they could make cars too. This belief marked the birth of Toyota Motor Company. The road ahead, however, was full of difficulties. The early years of Toyota Motor Company were extremely tough. Kichiro Toyota had passion, but he lacked resources and experience. Japan was still struggling, factories were small, and tools were limited. Still, Kichiro gathered a small team of engineers who shared his dream. They worked day and night, trying to learn how cars were built. At first, their models looked weak compared to Western automobiles. Engines broke down, designs failed, and production cost was too high. Critics said Japan should give up and keep importing foreign cars. But Kichiro believed failure was part of the process. In 1936, Toyota finally produced its first passenger car, the Model AA. It was not perfect, but it was a symbol of hope. For the first time, Japan had a car made by its own people. However, success was still far away. World War II began, and Toyota shifted to military trucks. When the war ended in 1945, Japan was left in ruins. Industries collapsed, cities were destroyed, and people had little money. Toyota itself was nearly bankrupt. Workers were frustrated, salaries were low, and strikes began. There was even talk of closing Toyota permanently. At this point, Kichiro made a painful but brave decision. He resigned to save the company from collapse. Before leaving, he told his workers, "Please keep Toyota alive." This short message touched every heart in the company. It became a turning point. People realized they were part of something bigger. In the late 1940s, Toyota introduced a small truck called the Toyo Pet. It was not luxurious, but it was useful for everyday life. This helped farmers and small businesses during Japan's recovery years. Slowly, Toyota rebuilt its reputation. But the real breakthrough came with a new philosophy. Instead of copying Western companies, Toyota created its own system. They focused on reducing waste, improving quality, and continuous progress. This approach became famous as the Toyota Production System. It was simple, yet powerful. Produce efficiently, reduce mistakes, respect workers. Every small improvement was valued, no matter how tiny it looked. By the early 1950s, Toyota started exporting cars abroad. At first, they were not welcomed. In America, people mocked Japanese cars as small and weak. Dealers doubted whether customers would buy them. But Toyota kept learning, kept improving, and never stopped trying. The company carried the same resilience that Sakichi and Kichiro had shown. Little by little, Toyota's cars became stronger and more reliable. The stage was being set for Toyota to rise globally. But the real challenge, the one that would define Toyota's identity, was still ahead. By the 1960s, Toyota was ready to prove itself on the world stage. The company had survived war, bankruptcy, and endless doubts. Now it wanted to compete with the giants of the car industry. In 1957, Toyota entered the United States with the Toyopet Crown. But American roads were wide, speeds were high, and expectations were huge. The Toyopet struggled. It was underpowered and sales were disappointing. Many thought Toyota would retreat, but the company refused to quit. Engineers studied the American market, listened to feedback, and redesigned their cars. They focused on durability, fuel efficiency, and affordability. This persistence paid off. In the 1970s, a global oil crisis changed everything. Fuel became expensive, and people wanted smaller, efficient cars. Toyota was perfectly positioned. While American companies sold large, fuel-hungry vehicles, Toyota offered compact, reliable models. Cars like the Corolla won the trust of millions. Toyota became a symbol of practicality and smart choices. Step by step, it built a reputation not just for affordability, but for quality. People realized Toyota cars lasted longer and required fewer repairs. The company's philosophy of continuous improvement was working. By the 1980s, Toyota had become a respected global player. Factories opened outside Japan, including in the United States. Workers there were trained with the Toyota production system. They learned to focus on teamwork, quality, and constant improvement. This unique culture gave Toyota an edge over competitors. Then came another bold step, the launch of Lexus in 1989. Many doubted whether Japan could make luxury cars. But Lexus shocked the world with its elegance and reliability. It challenged German and American luxury brands head-on. Toyota had transformed from a small loom maker's dream into a global empire. By the 2000s, it was producing millions of cars every year. The Corolla became the best-selling car in history. Toyota also led innovation with the Prius, the world's first mass-produced hybrid. It showed that caring for the environment could go hand in hand with success. Of course, Toyota also faced challenges, recalls, competition, and criticism. But the company always returned to its core values: quality, efficiency, and respect. The story of Toyota is more than just cars. It is about resilience, vision, and belief in improvement. From Sakichi Toyota's wooden loom to Kichiro's first cars, the spirit never changed. Every setback was met with patience. Every failure turned into learning. That is why today Toyota is not only a car company, it is a symbol of persistence. Its journey teaches us that even the impossible can become reality. If a carpenter's son and his family could create a global brand, so can anyone with determination. And that is the untold story of Toyota.